Hey, welcome back to The Explainer. So, if you've been scrolling your news feed lately, you've probably seen those totally terrifying headlines, right? You know the ones: cold, calculating robots marching into hospitals, grabbing the stethoscopes, and literally kicking human doctors out the door. I mean, it sounds like an absolute sci-fi nightmare. But here's the thing. What's actually happening in healthcare right now? It is definitely not a robot uprising. It's actually this massive, super fascinating paradigm shift. And today, we're going to break down exactly what that looks like.
Okay, let's dive right into this because, look, this is the absolute elephant in the room. It's the question literally everyone is asking right now. Will AI completely replace human doctors by the year 2030? I mean, we're constantly hearing these stories about AI passing medical board exams with flying colors or spotting these tiny, microscopic tumors that human eyes totally miss. So, are we all just going to be treated by a computer server in 5 years?
Well, here's the honest answer. No. AI is not going to replace doctors. But, and this is a big but, doctors who don't adapt to it, they are absolutely going to struggle. The reality of the situation is that artificial intelligence is really here to augment and assist. Think of it like the new stethoscope of our generation. If you just refuse to use it, you're simply going to get outpaced by the practitioners who do.
So here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, we'll look at whether AI will replace doctors. 2, curing the admin epidemic. 3, the power of AI diagnostics. 4, evolving specialties. 5, the doctor in your pocket. And finally, number 6, the AI literate doctor. Let's get into it.
All right, starting with section 1. Will AI replace doctors? Data versus humanity.
Before we get too deep into the really futuristic tech, we kind of have to establish the fundamental difference between what machines do remarkably well and what humans do best. And this brilliantly illustrates that divide. So on one side, you have what AI does exceptionally well, which is data processing, pattern recognition, and administrative scribing. We're talking about instantly processing terabytes of global data, which is just wild. But then look at the human side. What humans do best is empathy. It's navigating those incredibly complex, nuanced ethical decisions and providing physical touch and reassurance. Basically, AI handles the data and humans handle the humanity. The absolute best hospitals of the future are going to be the ones where these two forces just work together completely seamlessly.
Moving right along to section 2. Curing the admin epidemic, or the end of endless paperwork.
You know, right now, healthcare is suffering from this massive, industry-wide burnout crisis, and it's largely driven by the absolute crushing weight of administrative tasks, just endless forms. But AI is stepping in to build a completely new, streamlined workflow to fix this. Let's look at how this builds. Step 1 is ambient listening. So while the doctor is just sitting there talking to you, an AI agent is passively listening in the background. It's smart enough to separate the actual medical facts from, just casual small talk about the weather. Step 2, it auto-generates the clinical notes based on that exact conversation. And step 3, it creates instant discharge summaries. So the doctor doesn't have to stay 2 hours after their shift typing up records in a dark office anymore. They just review the AI's work, approve it, and move on to the next patient.
And the time saved here? It's absolutely staggering. We're talking about speeding up tasks like that discharge summary creation by up to 150 times. Just to put that into perspective, in one real-world hospital example, a discharge process that used to require 7 different people manually collating records was brought down to just 10 seconds. Literally, 10 seconds. I mean, that is game-changing efficiency for any hospital system.
Okay, on to section 3, the power of AI diagnostics. Faster, smarter, and life-saving.
So AI is doing way more than just fixing clunky hospital paperwork, right? It's actively catching deadly diseases that human eyes can simply miss. Check out this mind-blowing statistic. Over in the UK, AI stroke systems are actually being used right now to analyze emergency brain scans. And the AI instantly pings the doctors on their phones the very second it spots a problem. This rapid detection has led to 50% more life-saving blood clot removal surgeries. 50%. In a stroke, they always say time is brain tissue. Well, AI is dramatically shrinking the time it takes to make those critical life-or-death decisions.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how AI actually stacks up against human intelligence in really complex diagnostic tests. In this one fascinating recent study, human doctors working completely alone scored 74%. Pretty good. Doctors assisted by GPT-4, they scored slightly better, hitting 76%. But get this, GPT-4 working completely on its own scored 92%. It significantly outperformed the human doctors. I mean, no way, right? The major takeaway here is actually that doctors really need to learn how to communicate with the AI better, basically so they don't accidentally bring down the AI's phenomenal score.
Which brings us to section 4, how medical specialties will evolve, or the underlying algorithms of medicine.
You know, a lot of doctors kind of walk around thinking their specific specialty is way too hands-on or maybe too artistic to ever be touched by AI. But as Dr. Kevin Gibble points out, medicine is actually far more algorithmic than a lot of folks care to admit. Let's break this down systematically. Radiology for sure faces a high impact, but the role doesn't just vanish. Instead, it shifts to validating AI reports and handling this massive new wave of preventative scans that are going to come through. But what about something like surgery and plastics? Interestingly, that's a medium impact. We are already seeing things like robotic precision and algorithmic aesthetic planning entering the operating room. In primary care, that's a very high-impact area. AI is totally going to handle the triage, the massive amounts of data, and all those simple everyday diagnoses. That leaves the messy, complex human elements completely up to the doctor. The reality is, every single field is going to integrate this tech.
Next up, Section 5, the doctor in your pocket. Proactive, 24/7 care.
Now, this is a massive pivot for patient empowerment. It's moving us away from this old world of reactive, panicked hospital visits and pushing us toward continuous, proactive tracking. Dr. Dean Somali shared this really great anecdote that perfectly captures this shift. So he actually injured himself doing pull-ups. He goes to the hospital, waits for hours in this totally chaotic waiting room, all just for an exhausted doctor to finally see him and say, "Hey, you have a minor shoulder impingement." His big takeaway from that whole ordeal? For a minor, non-life-threatening issue, a fast AI diagnosis is just vastly superior. I mean, think about it. Why wait hours for a human doctor when an AI could just analyze a quick scan at home and send a full rehab plan straight to your phone?
And honestly, this empowers you, the patient, in some incredibly specific ways. Very soon, we're all going to be using wearables for real-time biometric tracking that literally talks directly to our healthcare portals. You can use your own personal AI to decode your DNA data so you can discover specific genetic traits, like, say, a high predisposition for lactose intolerance. And you can do all of that totally on your own. We'll even have access to 24/7 completely non-judgmental mental health chat agents. Your healthcare is going to be incredibly bespoke, and the whole shebang will just live right there in your pocket.
All right, our final section, number 6, the AI-literate doctor, adapting to the new reality. So knowing all of this, what exactly do medical professionals need to do right now to actually survive and thrive in this huge shift? Well, it really comes down to mastering the practical everyday tools. Medical students and seasoned doctors alike, everyone has to become a highly efficient AI-fluent practitioner. Practically speaking, that means using tools like Claude or ChatGPT for those brutal admin workflows and drafting patient letters. It means using Gemini 2.5 Pro or Open Evidence for building out really complex diagnostic differentials. It's about seamlessly integrating those ambient scribes we talked about into every single patient encounter. And above all else, it means developing proper prompt engineering skills. Because, look, if you don't know how to properly instruct the AI, you simply aren't going to get the life-saving outputs you need.
So the crucial point here is summarized absolutely perfectly by this famous quote from futurist Alvin Toffler. He said, "The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn." Adapting to AI in medicine? It isn't just about downloading some new app on your phone. It is about changing deeply ingrained habits and quite literally relearning how to practice care from the ground up.
Which leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought to end on today. As this technology continues to just exponentially improve, managing complex data far, far better than is humanly possible, will you trust an AI doctor with your life? Or are you going to be left behind in the waiting room, just holding on to the past? It's definitely something we all need to reflect on as this really incredible future becomes our everyday reality. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep learning, and I will see you next time.